Okay. Okay, Upendra, everything is going good?
Yes, sir. Good.
Okay, fine, fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, friends. Today, those who are joining me on Masterclass 25, this is on organizational buying process and what are the types of organizational buying decisions that we need to look into. The organizations also buy products, you know that, because they also buy raw materials or certain products which can be processed and sell finished product to the consumers. So organizations buy products and services for production and of course for resale or for operations. Resale in the sense that for example, say the provision stores like DMart or whatever, Big Bazaar and all, they don't have any products of their own. They purchase from outside and store it. Say for example, IKEA, for example, they buy from outside and they store it in a mall type of a scenario. So unlike consumer buying, organizational buying is a complex, formalized, and involves multiple stakeholders. We have seen the next last session itself. See, in case of consumer buying, is only one single buyer, or it can be a individual decision. It can be an individual decision making, or sometimes family buying decision. Not much of a thing. But in case of organizational buying scenarios, there are multiple stakeholders. There's a lot of processes involved in getting the things approved. So it's a little complex and formalized. So understanding buying process, decision making factors, and types of decisions organizations make is said to be very important. That's why we need to discuss here. Say, for example, a small decision like choosing a raw material supplier can impact production cost, quality, and brand reputation. If you make a mistake, a little mistake on selecting a raw material supplier, then everything will go out of gear. If you are not cautious enough in taking a decision to select a raw material supplier, because if the raw material is very poor quality or whatever, it increases the production cost of your product, and it definitely reflects on the quality, and in short, it will definitely disturb your brand reputation of the finished product. So care must be taken here. Let's examine a case in point here. Say, for example, Tata Motors bulk steel purchases for making their cars. Tata Motors sources steel in bulk from JSW Steel conventionally for the last several years to manufacture its vehicles. JSW Steel is a supplier of bulk steel for Tata Motors. Unlike an individual purchasing steel rods for, say, for example, for house construction or something like that, for home renovation, Tata focuses on quality, cost efficiency, and supply reliability. Because note, it's an ongoing process. So, but Tata wants bulk steel supplies from JSW. So it's not a domestic purchase, it's an industrial purchase as such. So there must be uninterrupted manufacturing processes for Tata. So the care must be taken here in every aspect once you take decision for industrial buying scenarios. So let us examine organizational buying situations. First one is a new task purchase. For example, a company buys a product or service, say for example, first time. See, we don't know who is the supplier and the quality and the standard of the product that being supplied by the supplier. It's for the first time. So what happens here, you need to go for extensive research and supplier evaluation and risk assessment, meaning suppose if the supplier miss out, what may happen. So these are the risks, probable risks that are associated therewith. So it requires a lot of extensive research, and that's why the industrial buying decision is not a simple affair. It requires extensive research. It requires supplier evaluation in total, and also estimate the risk and all. Say, for example, A retail company investing in a AI powered inventory management software. It's the first time where retail company is investing. It's in its inventory management software, AI powered, just for first time. So it requires lots and lots of homework that is needed. Just like that, it can buy the management software, AI powered management software, and of course, for any reason, it's having a technical snag or a mistake, then its supply chain gets totally disturbed. The second important buying situation is, say for example, modified rebuy. In the sense, a company reorders a product, for example, but modifies certain specifications. Say for example, it may have a requirement to change the product design or whatever you call it. So what happens is they ask the supplier, the raw material suppliers, to modify by suggesting certain modified specifications of their purchase. It can be modified product, or it can be price, new price decision, whatever you call it. So in such a case, it's a case of modified rebuy. It's not a routine rebuy as such. It's not a routine supply. And the industrial buyer wants a little modification. It can be on quality, or it can be on quantity, or it can be on price, or whatever. Say for example, a restaurant chain switching its vegetable supplier due to quality concerns. See, the hitherto as a restaurant is, buying vegetables from X supplier. Now, for want of some quality concerns, they want to switch over to some Z. So there's a lot of evaluation because they're modified buying. They are choosing a new supplier altogether. So this is a modified rebuy. If it is an earlier supplier, they have all the procedures intact, but they want to change over. The industry restaurant now, what restaurant chain wants to now go in for new vegetable vendor. So that's what we call modified rebuy. The third point here is, suppose same product with no changes you want to buy. This is called straight rebuy. So that's not a big issue. A company regularly purchases the same product with no changes at all. Yes, of course. Say, for example, a hospital reordering surgical gloves and syringes every month from the same supplier. Here, there is no big issue. Of course, in case where there are certain quality issues and all, you can as well talk to the supplier. So the hospital reordering surgical gloves as they usually supplied by the supplier, and syringes, for example, for injections every month. It's a routine thing. So the third situation is straight rebuy scenario. Let us examine how the in organizational buying process steps go, just like consumer buying as such. But it is relatively more laborious process. There are 6 steps. One, of course, is problem recognition. First of all, you need to identify a business need for the purchase of the either raw material X raw material, Y raw material, Z raw material, or A, B, C material, whatever it is. Second is need specification. What is the exact product requirement you have to clearly identify? Otherwise, you cannot ask the supplier to supply what quality you want to ask the supplier to supply. So the next one is need specification. Be clear on defining exact product requirements so that you can ask clearly the supplier. Third, finding potential vendors. Today the market is with lot of vendors. So you have to go for evaluating the supplier. Search the supplier first. Who is a good supplier with track record? So the third step is supplier search, finding potential vendors for getting a good quality material. Fourth one is proposal evaluation and selection. Of course, then you enter into contract with the vendor and asking him to supply, to supply to present a proposal regarding price, quality, whatever arrangements or whatever it is. Then you need to evaluate the proposals now, and then finally select. Of course, you might have shortlisted one, two, three suppliers. So before you negotiate with the final, I mean, selecting the final supplier, you need to go for proposal evaluation. What are their terms and conditions? And ultimately select a supplier and choose the best supplier. That's it. Fifth one is then, of course, having selected the good supplier out of a lot of research and evaluation, then purchase order processing. You place the order with the supplier, and finalizing the contracts and all other payment issues and all, purchase order processing. And that the game will not end here, because the supplier now supplies, and then you have to go for performance review. Is this supplies, I mean, is the supplier supplies regularly, good quality materials, etc., because all of this will definitely impact your production process, mind it. So the sixth, the final step would be performance review, assessing the supplier's efficiency on supplies, on quality and regularity, whatever, and then go for continuous, what do you call, contract arrangements. So there are six steps: problem recognition, need specification, supplier search, proposal evaluation and selection, purchase order processing, and performance review. Now let us examine another case to be more precise. To give an example, Apple's supplier shift to India, for example. What is the problem here is, earlier Apple wants to get the supplies from China. So they have noticed out of, I mean, of a clear problem, they have recognized it that there is a rising labor cost in China. So they started thinking seriously, because once there's a rising labor cost in China, the Chinese supplying the materials would be quite costlier. And again, what may happen is, if they buy from China a costlier material from China, again they need to revise their what do you call, prices of the finished products, like smartphones or whatever. What is the solution? Apple started sourcing from Indian manufacturers like Tata Electronics. They now searched for suppliers from India and ultimately entered into contract with Tata Electronics. So, what is the impact here? Reduced costs and diversified supply chain risks, because you can't just completely depend on China. You can diversify your supply chain risks, because you have selected a new supplier. So this is the case of Apple's supplier shift from China to India. Now let's examine how the entire thing worked and all that. Step one: problem recognition. A company realizes the need for a new product, better quality, or cost reduction. See, the problem is, you just can't think of taking a sudden decision without examining clearly what is the problem. So the triggers here are: one, it can be outdated technology, or it can be poor supplier performance, or three, it can be simple market competition. Just simple market competition. It can be poor supplier performance, it can be outdated technology. These are the reasons, triggers for you to go in for revision of your supplier. So this is problem recognition. Mind it, I'm giving you clear examples of how the problem recognition step one to be counted upon. For example, a bank identifies the need for cybersecurity software after a major hacking incident. The problem is, if, for example, banking transactions are being hacked. You know that today we have a lot of issues with regard to cybersecurity. So the bank wants to go for cybersecurity software for their own banking transactions. The problem was, a major hacking incident occurred. That is the problem. They have identified the problem. So that's the problem recognition, step one. Step two: need specification. Yes, we require, of course, problem is problem that's identified. So, do we require something to help save this particular problem identified? If the answer is yes, you have specified the need. The procurement team now sets precise requirements. Yes, we want it because of the risk there. So, what are they? One, they identify one, quality standards. Number two, quantity that is needed for buying. And three, what are the money? Well, what is the money consideration? Like budget constraints. Say another example is construction companies specifying concrete grade. Concrete they want to buy because concrete and all is used in bigger constructions of houses or dams or whatever. So construction companies specifying concrete grade and the strength of the concrete before purchasing. So the issues are quality standards, quantity that is needed, and at what cost they supply. So that's called need specification. How much, what type of quantity, and at what price. Third is after need identification, you go for who are the suppliers. So there are certain methods to find suppliers. For example, an online search. You can go for online search who are their supplies of different types of material that's there. Say, for example, India Mart or Alibaba, whatever you call it, online search is made possible. Then, of course, you can go for industry trade fairs because most of the cities now occasionally organizing trade shows and trade fairs. And you go there and examine who are the suppliers who are supplying what type of products. And third, existing supplier networks. There's no need for you to completely disown the existing suppliers, but you explore other possibilities like supplier networks. If not X, it can be Y, Z, closely working with the X supplier as such. So existing supplier networks also can be examined. Say, for example, a pharmaceutical company evaluating World Health Organization's GMP certified suppliers or active pharmaceutical ingredients, API is what we call it. That means they examine the supplier of the pharmaceutical ingredients, very active pharmaceutical ingredients. If they are satisfied, then the pharmaceutical company buys from them. So this is called supplier search. Who will be giving us the required stuff? That's step three. Step four is, of course, you will be asking the supplier to submit the proposal, and supplier selection criteria will be there with you, and you go for proposal evaluation and supplier selection criteria, where we would examine price, the quality certifications the supplier is having, and delivery timelines, and also after sales service. What are the things that the supplier can give to us? So, for example, an automobile company evaluating multiple battery manufacturers. So, for example, the automobile company is manufacturing electric vehicles. You want battery, right? Battery is a, I mean, very important ingredient there. So what happens here? They may search for Panasonic, they may search for LG Cham, they may search for CATL or whatever different battery manufacturers are search for their electric vehicles, and then take a decision. This is called proposal evaluation, supplier selection criteria. All will be willing to supply, but then we'll be evaluating the suppliers before you select the proposal. Then, of course, purchase order processing. If everything gets clear, we have already said the company places an official order with agreed terms and conditions agreed upon, and payment terms and contracts is very clear. Prepayment, post delivery payment, or installment based payments, or whatever. Say, for example, a fast food chain signing a 5-year beverage supply contract with Coca-Cola. For example, a big fast food chain is there. So they enter into contract with beverage company like Coca-Cola. They enter into 5-year beverage supply. That means uninterrupted beverage supplies from Coca-Cola to this fast food chain. So they examine purchase order, right? That's purchase order. Then, of course, performance review, meaning after everything gets settled and supplies are on, then, of course, after receiving the goods, the company is also looking for delivery accuracy, product quality, supplier responsiveness, and all other things. For example, if a hotel finds that a linen supplier's fabric shrinks after washing, because there are bed sheets, towels, and all that are being purchased by hotels. So what may happen is they enter into a contract, and the linen suppliers, and the fabric shrinks after washing. This is a very bad state, right? So it may terminate the contract after performance review. So that's the step 6. So now let us now examine, after considering what is the stepwise process, let's examine the types of organizational buying decisions. We have already talked about it. One is routine buying decisions. Because there's no need for you to do a lot of homework, because you may go in for low risk purchases and recurring purchases. Say, for example, buying a printer paper monthly, you're for a stationery, for example, there's not much of a big headache decisions here. Anyway, the paper quality is guaranteed. You already talked about it earlier, supplier, with the supplier before finalizing the deal and all, right? So it is a routine decisions or low risk and recurring purchases, not much of a problem. The second is technical decisions. Yes, uh, this requires technical expertise and testing, because what may happen is, say for example, you want to go in for purchasing of what you call uh, software, new software, say cloud storage provider like maybe Google Cloud or whatever you call it. So you now examine there's a technical expertise that goes in, and you test the software requirements and all. If everything goes good, it's a technical decision. Third is strategic decisions, meaning you need to take long term decisions, because you are involved in high investment choices. You need to consider long term supplies. So third type of decisions are called long term high investment choices. That means a steel company deciding to invest in solar energy plants. It's a long drawn, and gestation period of the project is also very long, right? So that's the reason why this is a strategic decision. So to reduce electric costs, the steel company wants to have these solar energy plants, and then they search for the suppliers who can supply this solar, who can erect energy plants for their company. Now, what are the factors that influence organizational buying processes? For, of course, is one is internal factor, meaning what's your company, what are your budgets, what are your company policies, etc. Because all the purchases from outside should be in tune with the company's policies and company's budget, meaning the monies at your disposal. Second is external factor, and you look at the market trends and all that. Suppliers, lot of suppliers are there, and supplier X supplier is not equal to Y in terms of their reputation and all, regularity of suppliers and all. So you look at economic conditions, what is happening outside. All these are called external factors. Then the third is interpersonal factors, we have already talked about. That is influencing procurement managers, engineers, and finance teams. Because what happens is, in case of a consumer product category buying, it's only you and your family. But here, there are a lot of stakeholders who are involved in buying decisions. It's an industrial buying decision, mind it, right? So you require procurement team. You'll be discussing with engineers at the plant level. You'll be discussing with the finance people with regard to budget and all. So this is called interpersonal factors. Lot of people involved in decision exercise. Say for example, a telecom company shifting from ordinary to 5G network equipment after pressure from market competition, because you can't be just slow and what you call in signaling system and all, because there is a lot of things happening in industry 4.0 and all. So you can't avoid this new technology. 5G network is 5G network equipment is very much needed. This is for from the side of market competition. So you can't avoid this market competition. So you need to take a decision taking into all other considerations as well, because you're forced to switch over to 5G network. Because being a telecom company, you can't ignore the extent of signal and all that, the regularity or whatever you call it, efficiency and all. So let us look at again another case in point here. How Amazon, Amazon is the biggest world store online which operates on online. Every product, name A, it will be available. Name Z, it will be available in Amazon. Of course, with different slight different variations. So let's see how Amazon procurement strategy works. Fantastic. Amazon problem is Amazon relied on FedEx and UPS for deliveries, but faced high costs. FedEx is it's a what you call a courier company. So the solution lies here. They want to build their own logistics network. They floated Amazon Air. They floated Amazon Flex. See, look at how the decisions take place here. See, something really works if you do a homework, because Amazon's procurement strategy clicked. What is the impact now after getting into their own logistics network with Amazon Air and Amazon Flex? There's a cost saving, faster delivery, leading to higher customer satisfaction. That's very, very important. Suppose if you order a product in Amazon, it requires 7 days, 10 days to deliver. That's the end of the story. So if you look at Amazon's delivery system, they say within hours they deliver, or else if the stocks are not that good enough in the process of quick delivery system, then they say okay, in the evening or 2 days. Dates also will be given. You can even track your order after ordering and after payment, or if you can opt for cash on delivery. You can have the product, and when it hits your door, you can pay cash, or else if you pay, then you can track your order when it is shipment is done, when the transit, where it has gone. No, and everything is made very easy. How all these are made possible to give a very rich experience for Amazon customer? They need to answer their procurement strategy. How do they organize extraordinary supply management? I mean, product movement management. That's something very interesting. So let us examine how companies use this kind of a knowledge in order to be the best in the industry class. How companies use this knowledge? Number one, of course, is sales teams, because we need to understand, because it's a B2B buying, because you see Amazon is one business, and it gets supply products from other business houses. It is B2B. So you need to understand B2B buyer behavior, how you want to buy from the others, and how the suppliers will sell it. So you need to understand clearly B2B buyer behavior. Number two, you need to go in for negotiating better deals. Procurement officers are said to be very important. Who are the people who are doing this exercise? One is sales teams. Number two, procurement teams. Number three, other startups and entrepreneurs. Finding the best suppliers here. The startup companies or some new entrepreneurs will be the best lot to choose as a supplier. So look at the importance given. When we discussed of the organizational buying patterns and other important intricacies in organizational buying choices as such, what are the key takeaways, key learnings from this particular session? Organizational buying is a structured and data driven minded. Please note that it is to be distinguished from that of consumer buying. Consumer buying is simple. It can be your decision or your family's decision. In case of consumer durable, for example, if you want to buy a car, you can't take a straight decision. You can rely on your friends, relatives, or family members, and their likes and dislikes also are important. No, that's very important. So in organization buying, it's a structured and data driven, unlike consumer buying decision. Companies now evaluate multiple suppliers to reduce risk, because there are a lot of suppliers. Selecting the supplier, evaluating the supplier is very, very important. And understanding buying decisions improves B2B sales success, because you can't operate in a vacuum, because you need to answer other business suppliers as well. So you can't become a very bad company if you become a bad company by not understanding the market constraints. No supplier will be supplying you. You will be branded as a very bad industrial buyer, and no supplier is interested to supply to you. So in B2B sales, very very important for you to manage your image and also have the image of the suppliers protected. Then the final thought here, when we talk about key learnings and all, great companies are built on great procurement decisions. Please note that's very, very important here is supply chain management. See, companies do a lot of homework on outbound logistics, like after manufacturing, what is the channel we have to choose and see that the product is placed at the right time, at the right place, at the right customer, at a right price or whatever it comes. But you need to answer your procurement decisions so that there can be uninterrupted production process. You need to answer uninterrupted production process, meaning that your supplies must be quite good enough. So you're not having the raw material on your own, right? So a lot of supplies you need to have. So you need to maintain procurement decisions. So this is what we call the what we call the supply chain management issues and how the things go here.